Sri Gurubhyo Namaha and welcome to the Sri Vidya Temple's classes on chanting. We're currently doing a series of classes on mantras, especially Veda mantras that are commonly found in pujas or homas, especially as we do them at the Sri Vidya Temple. We're currently working through the unique mantras in the Devi Puja that we do. And right now we're focusing on Abhisheka mantras. So I will start with the Ganapati prayer and then we'll continue. Om Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashivarnan Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopa Shantaye. Okay, so who would like to repeat the lines? We're coming up to the Shukramasi mantra in Abhishekam. Is anybody Charuanti? Okay. Okay, so we've already completed, we did the Dhikravno Akarisham mantra. So now we come to Shukramasi Jyotirasi. Shukramasi.
Shukramasi. Shukramasi.
So here the C goes down.
Yeah.
Shukramasi.
Shukramasi. Shukramasi.
Good. Jyotirasi.
Jyotirasi. Jyotirasi.
Shukramasi Jyotirasi.
Shukramasi Jyotirasi. Shukramasi Jyotirasi.
Swaras are good. Just notice the holding on ij. Shukramasi Jo. Shukramasi Jo. Okay. Shukramasi Jyotirasi Tejosi.
Shukramasi Jyotirasi Tejosi. Shukramasi Jyotirasi Tejosi.
Good. So just notice how the Jyotirasi, the C is hrasva. So you're saying it's slightly dirgha. And also just a little more work on the holding on ij in Jyoti. Shukramasi Jyoti. Sid Jyoti. Okay. Let's try the next part of the line. Devo Vasavitot.
Devo Vasavitot. Devo Vasavitot.
Punat Vachitrena.
Punat Vachitrena. Punat Vachitrena.
So it sounds a little bit like your pu in Punat is going on the middle note. So it's the higher one. Punat. Punat.
Punat. Punat.
That's it. Okay. Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena.
Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat. Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat.
Okay, close. Let's try from the beginning. Shukramasi Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo.
Shukramasi Jyotirasi tejosi devo
Devo.
devo devo
Tejosi Devo.
tejosi devo tejosi devo
Good. Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo.
Jyotirasi tejosi devo Jyotirasi tejosi devo.
Good. When you break it down to the individual words, you're getting the swaras, but then as we expand it to the larger parts of the lines, then the swaras are getting lost a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chant the first part of the line by myself 5 times, so everybody can hear it repeatedly, okay? Shukramasi Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo. 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 Okay, so let's try going on to the next part of the line again. Starting from Devo. Devo. Devo Vasavitot Punat.
Devo vasavitot punat. Devo vasavitot punat.
Very good. Only thing is the Savitot. Savitot. Savitot.
Savitot. Savitot.
That's it. Now I'm going to try again from Devo. Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena.
Devo vasavitot punat vachritrena. Devo vasavitot punat vachitrena.
Very good. Only thing is the sa is going down. The sa would just be a middle swara, and then the V goes down. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to chant by myself the first full part of that line 5 times. It's actually not a line. The whole mantra is just one line. So it doesn't really end until the double bandas. There's just a break in the page because that's how I formatted it for easy reading, but there's no actual pause or end of the line there. So I'll do that 5 times so everyone can hear that.
Ekta ji,
Yes, Aya?
what do we use for this abhishekam? Is it water or is it a ghee for this line?
So the one that we're offering, if you look at the very last part, ajena snapayami. So ajam, we say ghee.
Okay.
So sometimes when we're doing puja, it'll be water, like physically we're offering water, but the idea is that mentally we're offering ajam. And if it were like a traditional panchamrita snanam, the way we do on festivals at the temple, then we would actually be offering ghee.
Okay.
At that time. So this one is Ajya Snanam or Ajena Snapayami.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I'll do the first part 5 times. Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena. Shukramasi Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena. Shukramasi Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena. Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena. Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena. Okay, so let's go on to the next part of the line. Pavitrena vasos.
Pavitrena vaso. Pavitrena vaso.
Pavitrena.
Pavitrena. Pavitrena.
Good. Pavitrena vaso.
Pavitrena vaso. Pavitrena vaso.
Suryasya rashmibhihi.
Suryasya rashmibhihi. Suryasya rashmibhihi.
Good. Pavitrena vaso suryasya rashmibhihi.
Pavitrena vaso suryasya rashmibhihi. Pavitrena vaso suryasya rashmibhihi.
Good. And everyone notice the holding on is. Vaso surya. Vaso surya. Because there's a visarga after the O. So it's visarga after dirgha. So there is holding after dirgha. Vaso suryasya.
Ektaji,
Yes, Aya?
just wanted a clarification here because sometimes I feel like I'm putting a lower surah at the sur. So can you chant with without the lower surah at the sur, just with the lower surah at the sur? Yes, yeah. I wanted to see the difference.
So just chanting the word suryasya.
Only Suryasya, the word, because sometimes I was a little bit confused whether I'm putting a lower surah at the su or without the su. So I wanted to see the difference from you, like when you chant it.
Okay. Okay. So suryasya.
Only that word.
Suryasya. Suryasya. Do you want to try it one time? Did that make sense, Aya? Okay, maybe we lost him. Okay. All right, so we'll go on. So what I'll do is now I'll chant the entire mantra by myself, and I'll do that I'll do that 4 times. Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena Pavitrena Vaso Suryasya Rashmibhihi. Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena Pavitrena Vaso Suryasya Rashmibhihi. Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Vachitrena Pavitrena Vaso Suryasya Rashmibhihi. Shukramasit Jyotirasi Tejosi Devo Vasavitot Punat Chitrena pavitrena vaso suryasya rashmibhihi. So one of the things with a mantra like this, where the line goes on, a little bit longer, and we're not able to do it in one full breath, is that you want to try to look for the places where it's easier to take a breath without sort of disturbing the mantra. And it takes a little bit of practice, but usually if you look for the places where there's holding, those are good places, or even a dirgha. And the best places are holding after dirgha, because there's the most time in that spot for you to take a breath and continue while maintaining the same rhythm and flow, especially if you're chanting with other people, because usually one person's taking a breath, the other one is chanting continuously, and so you still get that continuous sound. So you want to try to take your breaths in a place where you won't interrupt the flow or get out of sync with the other people you're chanting with. So that takes a little bit of practice, but the more you get used to it, the more you'll see those places where you can take a breath and keep going. Okay, so we have Ajena Snapayami. So for the next one, which is the honey offering, would anyone like to repeat those lines? Okay, Dan, thank you. Okay. Madhuvata.
Madhuvata. Madhuvata.
Madhuvata Rutayate.
Madhuvata Ritayate. Madhuvata Ritayate.
So here, notice how there's actually a small gap after vata, because the next word, it's a little bit confusing, because in Sanskrit transliteration, that vowel, r, we think of it as an R, like a consonant, but in the system of transliteration, in English, that is actually a vowel, the R with a little circle underneath it. Or if it were a long vowel, it would have a line over it, but it's the R with either a dot or a circle underneath it. That is a vowel. So here we have vata ends in a dirgha, and then the next word begins with the vowel. So that's why there's a small gap there. So I'll chant that again. Madhuvata Rutayate.
Madhuvata Ritayate. Madhuvata Ritayate.
Good. Madhuksharanti.
Madhuksharanti. Madhuksharanti.
Good. Only thing is ksharanti, a little bit more holding on the n, so that it's not anti, it's anti, because the is hrasva. Then there's holding on the n, which kind of gets doubled. You could say doubled in terms of how long you pronounce it. Ksharanti, ksharanti. Okay.
Madhuksharanti. Madhuksharanti.
That's good. That's it. Madhuksharanti sindhavaha.
Madhuksharanti sindhavaha. Madhuksharanti sindhavaha.
Good. Let's try the whole line. Madhuvata Rutayate Madhuksharanti sindhavaha.
Madhuvata Rutayate Madhuksharanti sindhavaha. Madhuvata Rutayate Madhuksharanti sindhavaha.
Good. Next line. Madhvi irnas.
Madhvi iras. madhvirnas
Santvashadhihi.
santvashadihi santvashadihi.
Good. So when there's the final syllable is a dirgha and there's also visarga, the second part also gets prolonged a little bit. So if it were short, like a hrasva I, it would just be like voshadhihi, dhihi. Because it's a dirgha, it's more like dhihi, dhihi. Okay, so there's a little more emphasis on the final sort of echoing from the visarga. Okay.
Ektaji,
Yes, Aya?
there are two holding coming in, right? It's an half na and half it. Which one we gonna be holding it?
Which
Like
one?
we
Oh,
cannot
not
hold it both, right?
Santvashadhihi.
Yeah, there's two holding coming, right? And half na and half after. So which one we have to hold it?
So the main holding is on the I mean, you do want to pronounce the ta, the half.
So we have to extend a little bit, or we just
can,
like a
you can.
sun.
I mean, if you're chanting with a lot of focus and concentration, you'll be sort of highlighting that as well, because it's more than two sounds in the same akshara. So you'll be sort of enunciating each one.
Okay.
But honestly, when chanting is going, a little bit fast during a puja or quickly, sometimes it's not as much focus on that. Main thing is the holding on the first sound. But definitely enunciating that additional sound in there is important as well.
Okay, so we are not saying it like a sant, right?
Well, you
sant.
do.
Okay.
Sant, you shouldn't be like ignoring it. It's in there. Santvashadhihi. Santvosha. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, let's try the whole line. Madhvirnas santvashadhihi.
Madhvirnas santvashadihi. Madhvirnas santvashadihi.
Very good. Only thing is in the beginning, the ma, it should be more like an ah sound and held for the two full matras and then holding again on the dha. So this is a challenging word to pronounce for various reasons. Madhvir, madhvir, madhvir. So the way we chant is Madhvir.
Madhvir nasant. Madhvir nasant.
Good. That's a good madhvir. Okay. So what I'll do now is I'll chant these first two lines myself 4 times so everyone can practice. Madhuvata rutayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhvirnasantvashadhihi madhuvata rutayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhvirnasantvashadhihi madhuvata rutayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhvirnasantvashadhihi madhuvata rutayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhvirnasantvashadhihi. Okay. So we'll do the second one. So Dan, you can continue if you like. Madhunakta
Madhunakta, Madhunakta,
mutoshasi
Mutoshasi, Mutoshasi,
madhunakta mutoshasi
Madhunakta, Mutoshasi, Madhunakta, Mutoshasi,
Good. Madhumat
Madhumat, Madhumat,
Parthivagum.
Parthivagum, Parthivagum.
So notice there's a Mahaprana in the Thi. Parthiva, Parthiva. Parthivagum.
Parthivagum, Parthivagum,
Good. Parthivagum Rajaha.
Parthivagum Rajaha, Parthivagum Rajaha,
Madhumat Parthivagum Rajaha.
Madhumat Parthivagum Rajaha, Madhumat Parthivagum Rajaha.
Everything is very good. Only one swara was missed. In Madhumat, the mat goes down. You were saying it the middle way. So just make sure that one goes down. Madhumat, like that. Okay. All right, let's try the whole line. Madhunakta mutoshasi madhumat parthivagum rajaha.
Madhunakta mutoshasi madhumat, Madhunakta mutoshasi madhumat parthivagum rajaha, Madhunakta mutoshasi madhumat parthivagum rajaha.
Very close. I think the way that you're chanting Parthivagum, which is very good and which is accurate, you're kind of transferring that to the first part of the line a little bit. So the first part of the line, Madhunakta.
Madhunakta.
That's it. So in some places, like in the Vedas, when there's two or more lower swaras next to each other, sometimes that's when we'll drop down an extra couple notes. But that only happens in that situation where there's two lower swaras or anudatta swaras next to each other. So that's why it happens in Parthivagum, because the va and gum are like two things kind of next to each other. So in something like Madhunakta or Mutoshasi, there's only the one. So there's no extra dropping of the lower swara. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll chant just this line by myself 4 times as a practice. Madhunakta mutoshasi madhumat Parthivagum rajaha. 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 Okay, so now we can do the next line. Madhudyauras
Madhutyorastu. Madhutyorastu.
Good. Everyone notice the holding on id. Madhudyo. Udyo. Okay. Madhudyorastu nafpita.
Madhutyorastu napita. Madhutyorastu napita.
And here we see naha plus pita. There's a visarga in front of a pa. So when visarga comes in front of a pa or pa sound, it actually gets pronounced like an if sound. If. Naf pita. Naf pita. Okay. So let's try the line again. Madhudyorastu naf pita.
Madhutyorastu napita. Madhutyorastu napita. Short P.
Exactly. Very good. Okay, so listening to yourself while you chant is also very important, especially when you're practicing on your own, because a lot of the learning happens when we're practicing by also listening to ourselves. So we're not waiting for a teacher or a mentor to tell us where we might have gone off track. We're also listening to ourselves. We're thinking about the rules of chanting, applying them to the text, and then correcting ourselves when we notice that something has gone wrong. So good catch. Okay, so let's go on to the next line. Madhumano.
Madhumano. Madhumano.
Good. Make sure there's holding on the in mano. Mano. Vanaspatir.
Vanaspatir. Vanaspatir.
Madhumano vanaspatir.
Madhumano vanaspatir. Madhumano vanaspatir.
Madhumagum.
Madhumagam. Madhumagam.
Astu suryaha.
Astu suryaha. Astu suryaha.
Madhumagum astu suryaha.
Madhumagam astu suryaha. Madhumagam astu suryaha.
Good. Now let's try the whole line. Madhumano vanaspatir madhumagum astu suryaha.
Madhumano vanaspatir madhumagam astu suryaha. Madhumano vanaspatir madhumagam astu suryaha.
Very good. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of skipping in the Zoom stream, so it might not be you, but just make sure that mano, the a is dirgha, the o is dirgha, and there's also the holding on in mano. Okay, so just pointing that out for everyone. Okay, let's try the next line. Madhvirkavo.
Madhvirkavo. Madhvirkavo.
Bhavantunaha.
Bhavantunaha. Bhavantunaha.
Good. And this section is all flat, so there's always a temptation when we're chanting to make up a little melody for this. But everyone noticed that it really is all the middle swara. It's just a plain bhavantu naha. So try to have that discipline in your vocal cords and also mentally that you're chanting that only on the middle swara and not creating a nice melody to go along with it. Okay, let's try the whole line together. Madhvir kavo bhavantu naha.
Madhvirkavo bhavantu naha. Madhvirkavo bhavantu naha.
Everything's very good. Just the ga in gavo. Gavo. It's dirgha.
Gavo.
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 That's it. Okay, and we'll just do the little last line. Madhu, madhu, madhu.
Madhu, madhu, madhu. Madhu, madhu, madhu.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to, let's see, starting from Madhumano, I'm going to chant this part 4 times by myself as a practice. Madhumano vanaspatir madhumagum astu suryaha. Madhvirkavo bhavantu naha. Madhu, madhu, madhu. Madhumano vanaspatir madhumagum astu suryaha. Madhvirkavo bhavantu naha. Madhu, madhu, madhu. Madhumano vanaspatir madhumagum astu suryaha. Madhvirkavo bhavantu naha. Madhu, madhu, madhu. Madhumano vanaspatir madhumagum astu suryaha. Madhvirkavo bhavantu naha. Madhu, madhu, madhu. And then finally we have Madhuna snapayami as offering the bath of honey. One other thing I just want to point out is that for a couple of the lines, it begins with the word madhvir or madhvihi. The first time it happens in the first mantra, there's a dirgha swarita on it. So sometimes there's a temptation, the second time it comes along in madhvir gavo bhavantu naha, is to again go up on the ear. But it's a lower swara, it's anudak. So we want to make sure that we're following that and not just chanting it the same way that we heard it in an earlier line, because that's also a temptation that the mind tries to do that. Okay, but very good. Thank you, Dan. So we can go on to the next one. And the next one, so I mentioned this when we started the Devi Puja mantras. This Swadav Pavasva Divyaya Janmane, this mantra is found in Rigveda, but it's not found in Yajurveda. As far as I am aware, I have not seen any citation for it. I've searched for it, and I've not seen it in any of the texts in Krishna Yajurveda. So what that means is that sometimes you might hear it being chanted in a more Yajurveda style. That is something that people often do. For me personally, I prefer to chant it in the traditional way, according to the Veda where it's found. So that's how I've represented it here. And I don't want to get too much into this, but there's more than one style of chanting Rigveda mantras. So one common way is known as Sringeri Rigvediya Pata. That's what you'll hear from like the Chalakere brothers. They typically do that. Another style is Kanchi Rigvediya Pata. That's something I have listened to some videos by Sri K. Suresh, who is a very knowledgeable Pandit, and he chants in the Kanchi style. So that's slightly more different. And then there's Varanasi, which I don't really know very much about at all, so I won't mention that. But if you look at the Sringeri style, it's the closest to Yajurveda chanting. So what I would like to teach this as is the Sringeri style for Rigveda mantras. Because when you're already chanting a bunch of Yajurveda mantras, it's a lot easier to just go into Sringeri rather than trying to switch to the Kanchi style, which has a very different treatment of certain sounds. So it's really not easy to switch back and forth. So that's kind of the reasoning behind why I'm doing this in this particular way. Okay, so would anyone like to repeat these lines?
I can, Amma.
Rupa Amma, okay, thank you. All right. Swadavpavasva.
Svadupavasva. Svadupavasva.
Good. Divyaya Janmane.
Divyaya Janmane. Divyaya Janmane.
So here, notice in the Divyaya, the ya goes down again. Divyaya.
Divyaya. Divyaya.
So both the div and the ya are down, only the ya is middle. So it starts out with lower, then middle, then lower. Okay,
Divyaya.
that's it.
Divyaya.
Good. Janmane.
Janmane. Janmane.
Good. Divyaya Janmane.
Divyaya Janmane. Divyaya Janmane.
So when you do the words by themselves, you're able to get the swaras, but then combining them, something new is being formed. So just, you can take some time to practice and really look at where the swaras are. Make sure that you're pronouncing the swaras on the syllable where it's been noted. Okay. So let's just try the first half of the line. Svadavpavasva divyaya janmane.
Svadupavasva divyaya. Divyaya Janmane. Svadupavasva divyaya Janmane.
It sounds good. You're getting hung up on the divyaya janmane swaras, that's all. Okay, so you can practice those later. Now let's do the next part of the line. Svadurindraya.
Svadurindraya. Svadurindraya.
Good. Suhavitu.
Suhavidu. Suhavidu.
Swaras are good. So just watch out for the difference between ta and the. It sounds a little bit like you're saying do, but that's a ta sound. Tu, tu. Okay, so you can watch out for that one.
Suhavidu. Suhavidu.
Good. Suhavitu namne.
Suhavitu namne. Suhavitu namne.
Good. Swadurindraya suhavitu namne.
Hold that, Anna. Where am I?
Swadurindraya Suhavitu Namne.
Okay. Swadurindraya Suhavitu Namne. Swadurindraya Suhavitu Namne.
First time was perfect. Second time, the rin went down a little bit. Okay, but very good. All right, so let's just focus on the Divyaya Janmane. I'm going to say it 4 times myself, and then you try it. Divyaya Janmane, Divyaya Janmane, Divyaya Janmane, Divyaya Janmane.
Divyaya Janmane. Divyaya Janmane.
Very good. That's it. Let's try it from the beginning. Swadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane.
Swadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane. Swadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane.
Perfect. All right. So this is going to be a little bit challenging because it's such a long line, but let's try the whole line now. Svadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane Svadurindraya Suhavitu Namne.
Swadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane. Janmane Svadurindraya Suhavitu Namne. Swadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane Svadurindraya Suhavitu Namne.
Very good, very close. Just a couple of places the swaras went slightly off. In Swadurindraya, you're dropping the rin to the lower swara. It should be the regular udata. Swadurindraya, like that. Okay. And then also, there was another place I forget. And one thing that I heard you do it well, but just pointing it out to everyone, in the middle of the line, there should be holding on the is. Janmane sva. Janmane sva. Okay, there's holding after dirgha.
Can
Okay,
I repeat one more time, Amma?
sure.
Swadavpavasva Divya. Swadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane. Swadavpavasva Divyaya Janmane Svadurindraya Suhavitu Namne.
Very good. Only the swadu got, so it's just going to take some repeating and practice, but very good for your first tries. Very good with the swaras. It definitely takes time, especially with these longer lines. It's much, much harder to get the swaras correctly in a longer line because there's more swaras to remember the patterns. So definitely it'll take some practice, but very, very close. All right, let's try the second line. Svadarmitraya.
Svadarmitraya. Svadarmitraya.
Good. Varunaya Vayave.
Varunaya Vayave. Varunaya Vayave.
Good. Svadarmitraya Varunaya Vayave.
Swadurmitraya Varunaya Vayave. Swadurmitraya Varunaya Vayave.
Very close. I'm going to chant it 4 times by myself so you can hear it repeated. Swadharmitraya Varunaya Vayave. Swadharmitraya Varunaya Vayave. Swadharmitraya Varunaya Vayave. Swadharmitraya Varunaya Vayave. Okay, you can try.
Swadurmitraya Varunaya Vayave. Swadurmitraya Varunaya Vayave.
Very good. Second time was perfect. So watch out for Vayave. The Va also goes down. Vayave, like that. Okay.
Vayave. Vayave.
That's it. Let's try the second part. Bruhaspataye.
Bruhaspataye. Bruhaspataye.
Madhumam.
Madhumam. Madhumam.
Adabhyaha.
Adabhyaha. Adabhyaha.
Good. So notice in Adabhyaha, there's holding after dirgha, and not only that, but it's a dirgha swarita. So it's a even doubled dirgha. Adabhyaha. Okay, so there's a lot of extra time in there because there's holding after a dirgha swarita. Okay, so let's try from Madhumam. Madhumam adabhyaha.
Madhumam adabhyaha. Madhumam adabhyaha.
Good. Bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha.
Bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha. Bruhaspataye madhumam. Bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha.
Very close. Only thing is in madhu, the du is going down, but it should go up. Madhumam.
Bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha. Bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha.
So still it's going down. So this is going to take a little bit of practice just because the vocal cords themselves need practice to do the notes because we're not used to, singing or being trained in that all the time. So it takes time to sort of increase the connection between the brain and the voice. So it'll just take a little bit of practice. And one thing I want to point out here is that if this were Yajurveda, this would actually be Madhuma Gum Adabhyaha. It would be a gum there because that's one of the rules in Yajurveda that when Anuswara comes like this before a vowel, it'll become the gum sound in some cases. But when you look at this in Rigveda, this is how it's written as Madhumam Adabhyaha. It's written separately like that. So that's why I've done that. All right, so I'm going to try the full line. It's going to be a little bit challenging, but just give it your best shot. No worries. So let's try the second line. Swadharmitraya varunaya vayave bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha.
Swadharmitraya varunaya vayave bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha. Swadharmitraya varunaya vayave bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha.
Good pronunciation. Swaras are still to be worked on. So what I'll do is sometimes you have to hear it repeatedly. And the problem is these are things that we are not hearing in the traditional way very frequently, in a way that we can listen and absorb, because it's not like you can go on YouTube and find a video of this. So I do plan to make recordings. I'm sorry.
Can I repeat one more time, Mama? Can I
Sure.
repeat it one more time?
Yeah, so notice the swa is down. So very first syllable is down one.
Swadharmitraya varunaya vayave bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha.
Getting closer, but still the do is going down instead of up. Okay, so it's just going to take some practice. And another thing you can do is record yourself. So sometimes when we're chanting, it takes so much focus and concentration. We don't have any brain cells left over to actually listen to ourselves, because we're just focused on the chanting so much. So it really helps to actually record yourself and then listen to it while you're looking at the text. And then that should help to show you where things are going a little bit off.
So Ektaji,
Yes, Aya?
the last line is supposed to be Madhumam Adapyaha. That's the way it's ending, right?
No, the du is up. Du is Swarita, Mam is Anudata, lower one. So it goes, Madhumam goes middle, higher, lower.
So it's called Madhumam, right?
No, your du is going down as well. Just listen to me a couple times.
Okay.
Ma, dhu, mam, ma, dhu, mam.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
that clear?
So you have to a little bit separate the syllables, right? And
Yeah,
putting it
yeah.
into
So
okay.
one thing that happens is, when I'm chanting at a normal pace or a fast pace, even though I'm focusing on the swaras and I know intellectually what it should be, it might not come out in a fully audible way, just because either it's going fast or my voice might crack right at that moment, and that you can't hear the note clearly. So there's different reasons why you can't always hear the swara clearly. That's why when there's confusion, I slow it down and I elongate the vowel so that you can hear the actual note clearly.
Okay.
Because if the chanting's too fast, you can't even, like, it just goes by so fast, you don't even hear what the note is. Okay?
Okay. Because I thought, like, if I give like a madhu, that mean I am giving the upper swara on the do. That's what I thought. But if you said a little bit, you have to trust it more.
So when you say madhu, the du is going down lower than the ma.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now I saw. Okay, I understand. Now I understand. Okay, thank you.
Sure. It also, another thing that also helps is to use a some kind of a shruti, either a shruti box or a shruti app. Because if you're constantly changing your bass note, your middle note, sometimes you might get confused about what's lower or upper relative to that. And you don't have to chant at the same pitch that I'm chanting at or that anyone else chants at. You can find what works best for your voice. But once you set that, then you can always tune to that. Okay, that's my starting point.
Okay.
It makes it a little bit easier, and it also trains your brain to tune into the note that you're hearing. So it's also good for training your ear for notes.
Okay.
So that's something that people can play with a little bit. It might help also. I think Dan had a question. Did you have your hand up, Dan?
No, Ektaji, I was doing, my hand goes with the swaras, like that, that's why. Padu,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And you know what's funny? There actually is a tradition in some parts of India where they use their hands while they're chanting. And I don't understand the full details of how they do it, but there are hand motions. So you might see a video of some, little, Vedic students somewhere, and their hand will be, going up and down and things like that. It's interesting. It's part of it's like a mnemonic or a memory device, apparently.
Yes.
So yeah, if that helps you, then for sure, whatever it takes. So I think I'm going to do this line 4 times by myself so that everyone can hear it repeatedly. Svadarmitraya varunaya vayave bruhaspataye madhumam adabhyaha. 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 Sharkaraya snapayami. So this one is for sugar or sugar water, if you dissolve the sugar in water. Any questions on what we did today? Okay, so I will try to make some, sorry, what was that?
Thank you, Amma.
Oh, sure, no
Thanks
problem.
chanting along with you.
I want to try to make some recordings of these so that it's easier for people to repeat them, because the repetition is really what helps a tremendous amount. Just hearing it over and over again until it sinks in. That's honestly the best way. So I'll try to do that soon.
Is there a way to get the lower swaras when you are, saying, is there any trick to bring it, the one?
You mean the regular Anudatta, or when you
Yeah,
go
Anudatta,
even
yeah.
further down?
No, the Andada, the
Regular.
lower swaras,
Lower
what we are doing, suppose when we are doing.
Well, main
usually
thing is to
Madhu,
try to chant at the pitch that's natural for you and natural for your voice, in all the 3 pitches. So don't start out so low that your Anudatta is too low.
Yeah.
Don't be so high that the Swarita is too high for your voice, right? Everyone's different, but you can also develop it. Like when I first came to the temple, I didn't quite feel comfortable at that D sharp. But after, a few years of being forced to, it got a lot more natural. And actually now that feels better to me than chanting lower for whatever reason. So part of it is just practice and training your voice. So the more you do it, the easier it gets for the most part, as long as you're not straining yourself to damage your voice. So yeah, it's just practice and training. If you think about the traditional people learning in like a traditional Veda Pathashala, they're chanting 8 hours a day, like every day. They're either learning or they're practicing for hours and hours a day, every day for years. So that training is something that we just don't get. Like there's just no way that we're going to chant that much.
Oh,
But at least, if you can try to do at least 30 minutes at a time while practicing something, like pick something that you like to do, and whatever it is, it could be Lalita Sahasranamam, Purusha Suktam, Rudram, whatever it is you want, or you're practicing the new shlokas, whatever. Try to do a good 30 minutes every day. And of course, Rameshaya, I think, recommends like an hour a day.
yeah.
But that can be a little hard, for people with family activities and all that. But, that regular practice, it's just like any other muscle or any other part of your brain or your body. The more you use it, the easier it gets. And also making sure you're at a pitch where you're not, straining things too much.
Ekama,
Yes.
I was just reminded, like 50 years back, like when I was learning music, my singing teacher, she used to, she used to make us practice in the beginning, like pa 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 pa, ga ga ga, like maybe, only now I remember that, So
Yeah.
3 swaras, different swaras she used to.
Yeah, definitely. So if anybody has any memory of music lessons or singing lessons, that also helps. It's part of voice training. Obviously chanting is not the same quite as singing. There's differences, but just having enough strength in your vocal cords and enough practice of, like, when you're trying to hit a certain note, your brain has to communicate a certain message to the muscles in a very specific way to get that note. And you also need feedback. Sometimes the note is slightly off, but as soon as you hear it, you adjust so that you hit the note. So all of that kind of like complex feedback and communication and, muscle coordination, it gets better with practice. It definitely gets better. So any of those kind of exercises, if you remember them, I'm sure it would help.
That's good. See, when we practice, when you are saying it, that pitch, that is good, it comes. When I want to do it, mine goes very flat. I don't like myself when I start. So I have to put that, record it and get that rhythm going in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. Listening to the recording of someone who's learned it, and then practicing, making a recording of yourself and then listening to that, that's all part of getting to the next level, I would say. So all of that should help.
Ekta ji,
Uh-huh.
I have a question. I need a clarification.
Okay.
Especially when you are starting with a lower swara. For example, is Divyaya Janmane. Is that I wanted to know, is it the Divyaya Janmane, or sometime I see that Divyaya Jayan, they are starting the lower swara with the next word. So which one is the right way to do that?
The way I heard you do it the first time sounded good.
Yeah, sometimes I see they are starting the lower letter and combining with the next word. So so which way we can show the low, actually we are telling the lower swara, which is the best way to say that, especially when you're coming with the lower swara?
So when you're applying the swaras to the syllables, depending on how the sounds are combined, and also like what the human voice is capable of doing, the swara might continue to the first part of the next akshara. It's just part of how the voice works. So in that phrase, the way I would say it is Divyaya Janmane, Divyaya Janmane.
Okay. So you are ending with the lower swara, yeah, then starting Janmane. Okay, that's right. But I say sometimes they say only Divyaya, then combining ya and Janmane sometimes. So that's what I wanted to know. Actually, we say the Divyaya, then go with the Janmane, or Divyaya, then combining ya and ja together. That's what sometimes I see the some slogas is starting with that way, some slogas are starting with this way. So sometimes I'm getting confusion. Okay, which is the best way to say the lower swara, you know?
Yeah, generally the swara should be only on that syllable. And so the next syllable, when it starts, you want it to be like a clean transition, like a clean move to the next swara. And really, if you listen, like sometimes people are chanting and it's not as clean. Whereas if you listen to Chalakere brothers, like it's precision, like it's like boom, boom, boom. Everything is exactly the right pitch at exactly the right time. So I would listen to them as an example of this because they are so very precise, and they do mention this in their teaching. Like I saw one class that one of them was giving, and it was where you have a dirgha swarita, like and he was even mentioning how there should be a slight break. So you're not like smoothly going or something like that. It's just, it's the one note and then a slight break, and then you immediately do the next note. So it's not
for the dirgha swaridam, right?
For dirgha swarita.
Okay.
Like, so for the word like garnanam.
Yeah.
Garnana. Do you hear the slight pause?
There's a very small pause there.
Right. And the reason is to make sure that you're only doing two notes. You're not like slowly drifting from one note to the next. So that's the level of precision that they're chanting with and also teaching with. So they're really the best guide for something like that. So you can listen to them and see how they approach the swaras with the akshara combinations.
Okay. Do they chant this slokas in somewhere in the Udaka Sandhi or anything?
Some of these do come in Udaka Shanti, but it's quite long, so you're going to be listening for a while just to hear, one or two shlokas. But what I would say is listen to them chanting in general and apply that principle.
Okay. Mostly I listen to their, mostly every day or maybe like twice a day, I'm listening to their Rudram and Samadam.
Yeah, very good. So that should give you an idea of how the swaras are applied to the sounds. But in general, as precisely as you can do it is best.
Okay. Thank you, Ektaji.
Sure. Any other questions, or are we set? Okay, then Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Thank you for joining, and see you next time.
Thank you so much, Ektaji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.